you can hear me, I hope you can. I've set up the tent. I'm about to set up the stove. It is stormy. I didn't film doing the tent because it was just gale force. I think we're getting about 50 mile an hour winds, gusts. 50 mile an hour gusts. It's about 20 mile an hour sustained. But yeah, the tent's all set up. The stove has got to go up now. And then everything else has to be sorted as well. Everything basically has to be set up. Everything is soaked. I only brought one pair of trousers. I don't know why. That's my first mistake. So I might have to pick some other ones up later on. But yeah, we've got some pretty strong winds right now. It's chucking it down with rain. It's sideways rain because of how windy it is. But it's beautiful. It's how I like it. Well, not maybe this extreme, but I do enjoy it. But yeah, so first things first, get the stove set up, get a coffee on the go, then get the bed area and everything else set up. Got some food there. I even brought a stove fan, if it's still going to work. Oh, I think it's been bent. That's a good start. We'll see how that gets on. But yeah, my brother and cousins were coming as well. One of them had to cancel because he had a cold. My brother forgot the poles for his tent, so they've actually ended up, luckily it seems, staying in a little cabin nearby, like a wooden, I can't even think what it's called now. But yeah, so I'm the only one camping, which is fine. I wanted to come camping. Anyway, let me crack on. Hopefully the camera will stay put. It looks like it's wobbling a bit. But yeah, I'll get everything set up, you'll see how that goes. And then... And then I'll get a coffee on the go while I set everything else up. So first and foremost is the stove. But wow, what an entrance. Just constant wind and rain. We'll see how it goes this camp. It's supposed to calm off though. I think it's highs of like 55. I think we've passed that. It should be about 50 dropping every hour until it gets to about 30. And no more rain either. So it should be quite an interesting night. In fact, let me get my chair set up, then I don't have to be knelt everywhere. holding off on pitching the stove just yet because it's still stupid windy. So what I'm going to do is get everything else set up first, and then I'll set up the stove because I don't want to put the flue out there just yet while it's like this. So I'll get everything set up first. Hopefully by that time it'll have settled down a bit and I can stick the flue out and get a coffee on the go, because I'm really wanting one. So we'll have to get that sorted. So we'll do that. Change of plans based on the weather, and hopefully by the time we've done it, it'll have calmed down a little bit. It's supposed to be about 45 gusts now, and we do get a lot of the gusts here. So hopefully it's just going to slowly decrease and become more manageable. And then once everything is tidy, then I will get everything else, like the stove flue set up. So where do we begin? Got the bed set up. I've not put the sleeping bag out yet. I'll do that later so I can use it as a place to sit if need be. I did bring a thermometer, but I don't think it's going to be, it's not going to be cold. It's going to be, like right now it's 14 degrees. I think it's going to drop. It might get down to the like 4 degrees with wind chill. And I've got them both indoors right now. It's currently 14. I don't know what that is Fahrenheit. I'll put it on the screen. Got an outdoor thermometer as well. I'll throw that outside somewhere. I don't know if it'll still be there the next day, but I'll put it outside so I can kind of see what temperature it is. But yeah, I'm still waiting for that wind to just drop a little bit. Gusts. I don't really fancy putting a stove out, a flue out just yet. I might do. I've got some guys pouring, and one of the things, so But the tent is the Pomoly Chalet 70. And the stove is the Oroken Mini from Pomoly as well. It's a really good stove for the size. It's a small stove compared to the rest, but it really suits me perfectly. And I wanted one with a solid flue, because I see so many of these roll-out thin stainless flues, and in weather like this, they'll just collapse. So I wanted a strong flue. I didn't want it to be super heavy. The whole thing, it's quite heavy. It's not majorly heavy in comparison to other camping stoves, but you do also get this nice handy carrier for it, which I'm using to kind of keep my feet off the floor because it's wet. My feet are wet. So it really does what I need perfectly. If you have a big tent, I've got the Circle 6 from Pomoly, and it's just too small. The flue's too small, but also the stove's too small to heat it properly. Whereas these small 2-3 person tents, it's bliss, absolute bliss. So what I might do now is that rain again. I might try to put the stove flute up and get it going, get it tied down as well. You get this little triangular thing which you can buy, you can tie off. So I'll try and do that. It's just so wild. So wild. Change plans. It's just started raining again. Maybe I'll wait till it's finished raining. It's nice though. Nah, screw it. Let me show you what it's like out there. Oh. Right, coffee's on the go. That's the important thing. It's still very windy, but it's definitely dying down now. Well, it has to be. It doesn't feel like it, but it has to be. It's not going to be like this all night long. I didn't actually bother staking out the flute because all the guy lines were in a knot, which, you know, learn from your mistakes. I brought matches, and thankfully I brought a flint steel, fire steel. I brought matches but didn't bring a striker. So the only way I could get them going was with the flint steel, or the fire steel. No, I'm not using a flint. It still definitely feels as strong as it was when we got here, but I think it will be dying down. Now the time is it's 4:20, so we've probably got about an hour of light. So I'm going to get the coffee. Get the coffee, and then head over to see my brother and cousin and sit with them while I drink it. Because we're booked in to eat in a pub close by. Tonight. So, yeah, we're eating out tonight, first night, and then the next night I'm going to cook on the stove. And it's a red Thai curry, so I'm looking forward to that. So first things first, get this coffee sorted. I can feel the warmth coming off already. Right now inside it is 12.9 degrees. I'll leave this down here, not too close to the stove, and not up high. I brought the stove fan because the stove just kind of pockets, the heat pockets above. It keeps the rest of it warm, but the difference between the top and the bottom is very noticeable. So I've brought that just to kind of keep spreading it a little bit, keep it nice and warm everywhere. But we'll see what it gets to. I'm literally just burning it to make a coffee. I mean, at the end of the day, I brought the stove to use it, so I'm going to use it, but I'll let it die down with what it's got in it. I think it should be enough just to boil it, just to get it going. And yeah, so far so good. It's just so windy. I can't do anything outside. I can't show you anything outside because of how windy it is. But that should be all right later on. But so far so good. I'm enjoying it. Still a bit to set up. Still some stuff to dry off. The trousers, thankfully, are drying quite well. The coat I've hooked up over here rather than over there, just so it gets more of the warmth, and that shouldn't take too long. But it's really pleasant, so pleasant. I'm on a bit of a tip. I don't know if I was recording at the time, but I almost fell backwards. I managed to somehow pull myself up, so I've got to be really careful about that, because these ground chairs, I'm trying a new ground chair. It's a Helinox one. I've got a OneTigris chair, which is just a normal folding down chair, you know, like with all these poles and things. So I bought a Helinox. I wanted to know what all the fuss was about. They're comfortable, and you can get all sorts of accessories. Seem to be moving too much. So yeah, you can get all sorts of accessories like a fur-lined cover and all sorts. So I thought, you know what, screw it. I needed a ground chair. I've got a normal chair. I wanted a ground chair for these smaller tents so that I could sit inside comfortably. And so far it's great, except for I'm keeping back. But that's more because I'm on a slight slant. I don't think it's anything to do with the actual chair itself. We're in a place called Brothers Water, which is in the Lake District. And it's, we've been here before. Usually, when we would go camping in Scotland, we would come here maybe in February to go camping in Scotland in May and test everything first, because it's a year-round campsite, so you get to test everything properly. but it's getting to that point now where it's just, I want to go wild camping again. I'm sick of campsites. I want to go into the wild. Luckily, there is a place near where I live where I can camp, and that should allow me to test some more stuff out, get some more videos going. I have overloaded that fire. But yeah, plan is get the coffee, head over and see my brother and cousin, and then just chill out, go and have some food, and then come back again. I think more people are trying to set up. Anyway, I'll be back in a bit. Cheers, everybody. Alright, welcome back, guys. It is probably about 11 o'clock now, 10:30, 11. Just been sitting around a fire pit with my brother and cousins, chilling out. Well, my brother and cousin, because the other one didn't manage to come because they were poorly. So we've just been chilling out with a bit of a fire pit, but now I am getting back into bed. I didn't bother putting the stove on because it's warm enough. I'm not going to have a cup of tea or anything. I'm just going to get my thermals on, get into bed, and hopefully just sleep through. Be nice and relaxed. I may need to go to the toilet again. We may have to do that yet. But the wind's died down a lot. It is probably about 13 miles an hour now, strongest gusts, but generally no wind is getting up here, barring every now and again, so it's much calmer. Hopefully we get a bit of wind or a bit of rain. It does help to send me to sleep. But yeah, tomorrow, Saturday, is supposed to be really chill, not a lot of wind, not a lot of rain, and then Sunday's bad again, but we're leaving on Sunday, and it's supposed to be worse when it's pack down time, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, tomorrow, going down to Ambleside, seeing what's around there, see my daughter and Rachel, my partner. They're staying in a hotel down there, so I'll see what they're up to, see what the shops have to offer, and then come back and do a walk and chill out at the camp, I think, or at their hut. But yeah, I don't think anything crazy is going to happen tonight. It's gotten very busy where we are at Brothers Water, which I don't mind the noise. It's fine by me, but I do much prefer wild camping. So hopefully we can do more of that this year and see how we get on. But anyway, I'll come back in the morning. First things first will be to get a coffee on the go, get the stove on the go, because it'll probably get cold. It's getting down to a wind chill of about 1 tonight, so it's supposed to be pretty cold. But yeah, we'll get the stove on, get a coffee going, get some breakfast on the go, and then go and see what my brother and cousin are up to. But right now, I'm ready for bed, almost, and I'm just going to relax. Anyway, I'll see you all in the morning. Good morning, everybody. It's about 7:30, I think, and slept all right. it was very windy, so it kept waking me up. I don't feel too bad, and I was nice and warm the whole night through. Well, comfortable. It wasn't over warm or too cold. Oh, where the thermometer's gone. Ah, there it is. It's 8 degrees. That's not bad at all. Oh. So the plan now is to get the stove on, get coffee on the go, first and foremost, and then try and dry out some things. My hat is sodden. My jacket, I think, is still a bit wet, which the other jacket that got soaked in the wind, it just dried out really fast. So my other one has been in the tent the whole time, so I can get the stove on, get the air circulating a bit, get the coffee on the go, get some breakfast. Got some sausage, mushroom, avocado, something else. A tofu. Gonna scramble some tofu with some turmeric. And then, just slowly wake up, get tidied up, get sorted out in the tent because it's just a mess. And hopefully, I say hopefully, and then go and see the brother and cousin. But yeah, start of day 2. There we go. Oh, that's much better. It's getting a bit steamy. What I might do is just open the door a little bit. There's a bit of a danger. So it's probably about 8:15, maybe something like that. Currently sitting at 17.7 degrees in the tent. I think you can see that on there. Yeah, good. Which, I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but I'll pop it up on the screen. I've got the porch door open. I tried opening this door, and it just, that's the direction of the wind, so it just blew straight in. But I'm letting the air just kind of circulate a little bit. Still drying off the hat, it's getting there. That was sodden. And this jacket as well, at the wrists, it was still a bit wet, so hopefully we'll have a bit of time with the stove on this morning, getting things dried out and warmed up. I'm gonna have my coffee, then put breakfast on. I actually forgot my cup. I left it in my brother and cousin's chalet when I went to go see them and didn't bring it back. So I'm having to use this, which is fine, doesn't make a difference. But yeah, looking forward to eating. Not hungry, really, at the moment, but I will be. Hope you can hear it's raining. It's quite heavy and consistent now, but it was very much on and off throughout this morning. It's been, and throughout the last night, in fact. Kept waking up. I think the wind kept waking me up, but it was the rain. They're coming like squalls, just bits of blankets of rain coming over and then going again. But it's really nice right now. Shame you can't get that view just yet. With that being the wind direction, it's the best view there is, but it's just too windy to have that door open. But this is what it's about. This is nice. I'm nice and warm, and I'm about to be nice and fed. Anyway, I'll get on with breakfast. I might get some things charged up first, because I think the battery's getting a bit low on the camera. So I might get that charged, get the stove going a little longer, get things dried. This is working quite well, actually. Instead of just pooling it all in one area, it just moves it around better. But yeah, I'll come back when I'm ready to cook. So stay tuned.
Alright, it is time to get cooking. We have just done a lovely walk around Brothers Water, which is a small lake named so due to two brothers drowning there in the 1800s. So that's a nice story. Anyway, I'm going to do a voiceover for this cooking bit, for this video, for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm not sure how well you will be able to hear me. So for those planning to follow along and actually make this recipe, I want to make sure you can hear me so you don't miss anything. But also, what I plan to do with my camping videos is take the cooking segment and then also upload that as a separate standalone video. So those who just want to follow along the recipe properly can do so without having to scrub through a full video to get to the cooking part. Plus, it'll mean that finding the right recipe will be much easier because they will be in their own playlist. Anyway, for tonight's meal, I'll be cooking a red Thai curry over the hot tent stove. And as mentioned, I'll do a dedicated video for this recipe. This voiceover will be a little bit more brief with less detail, just to kind of give a general overview of what this recipe consists of. Now, when it comes to cooking in a tent, as you can imagine, it is a lot more complicated than cooking at home, as you don't have the ease of different hobs, variable heat regulation, or even the ability to get hot water from a kettle. So the order of business has to be altered slightly. So it may seem a little illogical to start with, but it will make sense as you go. Also, this recipe is 100% plant-based. I'm using tofu, but of course you can throw in chicken, strips of beef, or even shrimp, for example. Just ensure that it's cooked through, but you can make it your own with whatever you want to eat. And as you can see here, I am actually making my stock first, as I'll be using this pot to cook my rice. So start with boiling around 125 ml of water, and once it's boiled, pop in about 5 to 6 grams of veg stock. I use powdered bouillon, as I can just put in as much or as little as I want, plus 40 grams of creamed coconut, and then give that a little stir until it's all dissolved. Now, after this, I poured it into one of these Human Gear Stacks pots that I use for all my ingredients. They are a bit of a lifesaver when it comes to cooking while camping. Highly recommend them. I think I saw a YouTuber using them and haven't looked back since. You can get them in like small, medium, large. You could always pour your stock into a coffee cup or into a bowl or whatever you've got available. Talking of gear though, I will try to link in the description everything that I use in this video during this camp, so you can take a look if there is anything you want to know about my gear, what I'm using. That should all be in the description below. And if it's not, just drop a comment and I'll find out what it is that I'm using and get that link for you. So now that the stock is done, this pot is available again and it's time to get the rice on the go. As a general rule of thumb, I measure about 65 grams of rice per person, and then to cook that 65 grams, it'll be about 150 ml of cold water. Make sure it's cold, you pour it in, and then stick it on the stove wherever it's hottest to get it boiling as soon as possible. Once it's boiling, you stick the lid on it and then you move it off the main heat to a location where you can simmer it for about 9 minutes, and then all the water will be completely absorbed. The rice will be perfectly fluffy, you don't have to strain it or anything. But on a stove, without proper heat regulation, it can be really hard to find that sweet spot where it just simmers it perfectly. So I tend to put it on the edge, which is why it's very handy having a stove with some sort of wings. And then every so often I'll just spin it about 90 degrees to stop it from burning in one area. It can be quite tricky, so do keep an eye on it. Just give it a stir every now and again, give it a little twist, but make sure it's not directly on the heat because it'll just boil for the full time and it'll all stick to the bottom. And obviously that is not fun to clean. Now while it's doing that, you can get your tofu or chicken or whatever you're using browned off. Just a little oil in the pan, throw it in, get it sizzling. It can take a bit of time based on the amount of heat you have available, so do keep monitoring your fire, your stove, and keep feeding it during the whole cooking process just to keep that heat up, which I often forget about. It's not a big deal, it just takes a little longer to cook, but it can get quite hot as well inside the tent while doing this, so it's always nice to open a door, just let that fresh air in. Now, once your tofu is browned, throw in some wedges of red onion. Cook that for a few minutes, about 4 to 5 minutes until it's softened. And then add 1 garlic clove that's been minced or just nicely chopped. 15 grams of ginger. I've used fresh, but you can use ginger paste. And then about 20 grams of red Thai curry paste, and just give it a stir. Giving it about 1 to 2 minutes to infuse. Just make sure you don't burn the garlic. and then add the green beans. I used about 40 grams of green beans here, chopped in half. They probably could have been chopped into thirds, to be fair. Would have been a lot more convenient. And then throw the stock in and let that simmer for a good 6 to 7 minutes, or longer if you like. It just gives it more of a time to infuse the flavours. But do keep stirring it occasionally, just so it doesn't stick. Again, keep checking that fire, and then you just simply serve the rice, throw in the curry, and top it off with some toasted cashews that I had toasted before I'd set off for the camping trip. Now, this is actually my first time cooking this recipe over the stove. Really, really tasty. It came out perfectly. You can season it as well with salt and pepper if you wanted to. But to be fair, it tasted amazing anyway. Now, I'm going to go and head off to my brother and cousin's hut and eat this. But do remember, a dedicated video that will break this recipe down into more detail will be available soon. And apologies about the camera angle. It's probably not the best for following along, but it'll hopefully get easier as time goes on. Anyway, I'm going to go enjoy this food, and I'll see you before bedtime. Good morning. It is Sunday morning, and it's windy. It's about 7 o'clock in the morning, and it's 6 degrees, nearly 7 degrees outside, 8 inside. And we're getting about 43 mile an hour gusts at the moment, and it's going to go up in the next hour or two to 53. So, it is time to get packed up and gone. I'm not going to bother putting the stove on, because I don't really want to put the stove flue out when it's as windy as this. It should be fine, but I don't want to risk it. So I'm just going to have my overnight oats, which I made Friday, and then just start packing stuff away. But first I need to get up. I didn't bother filming last night after doing the walk around Brothers Water, which I should show in the video, little snippets of it. I just chilled out by the fire pit with them in their hut, and then came up and went straight to bed. Very tired. And I also knew the wind was going to wake me up, so I thought I'd get an early night, and then I can crack on in the morning nice and early. But yeah, so we'll get packed up and get going. If we're not blown away in the meantime. That was pretty much the camp. Hopefully I've got enough footage of stuff. It is what it is. Oh, it's cold. Right, let me crack on.